Hello YouTube and friends of Skatena and Rosner Films. I'm Gato Skatena. I'm one of the co-founders of SNR Films. I am here escaping coronavirus at my home in Hawaii, at least for the next few weeks. And Jordan, my partner, Jordan Rosner, we decided that maybe doing a YouTube video series or, kind of podcast, if you will, might be a good way for us to interact with some of the people that we already know and also help us meet some new people and hopefully pass on what we've learned over the past 10 years to some folks that are trying to either break in or just get to a next level or overcome very specific obstacles. We're not wanting to make these really long form. I'm hoping just every episode is going to be about 5 to 15 minutes max length. Although some of these will be interviews with other producers, directors, investors, actors, screenwriters that we've worked with and some who we haven't worked with. And those will, of course, be longer. So this first episode, we're going to keep it short and sweet. We've had a number of people submitting specific questions to us for us to address. So we'll get down to it, and I will address the first one today. First question is from Guy or Guy. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Film finance and packaging. My co-producers and I are developing a slate of 4 indie features across genres, and we're wondering about the typical workflow of taking a business plan from pitch to packaged and ready to go. We've done micro-budget features before, but always through smaller private investors and never had to go through a more sophisticated pipeline. What's the order that works best? Package before pitching to investors, attach a PM, I'm assuming also a UPM, those kinds of things so that we can make sure to be as efficient as possible. Thanks for doing these videos. You're welcome for doing these videos. Good question, a pretty common question. So like at the micro budget level, you could be anywhere from 50,000 to $250,000. Obviously at that level, you really don't need more than 1 or 2 investors who don't have to take very much risk. It's a small amount of money. I will note that those lower 6-figure budgets are not very competitive in the current marketplace. They're becoming harder to sell, especially in foreign markets, so be wary. So jumping up to that next level is a great way to be more competitive and also make better content. To address the question, the 2 questions that you already posed, it's kind of like UPM first or budget, package first before pitching investors. We'll definitely get a solid UPM or line producer on board so that you get a really defensible budget that you can rely on. And I'm not talking about some, really call it a verbose or bloated budget and schedule that's like 10 million, 20, 30 million dollars. You want something that's as tight as can be. You guys might be surprised how many movies are out there that are getting released by major distributors, Lionsgate, Paramount, Sony, Fox, and a lot of these are being done for anywhere from the 4 to 8 million, 9 million range, and then you've got a bunch that are kind of being done upwards of like 12 million kind of as a max. And then when you go above 15, that's where you're seeing a little bit more studio involvement, or at the very least higher players, bigger players. So the first thing is you got to know what I call resting heart rate is. You don't want to go and start talking about cast or revenue or pre-sales or anything until you know exactly how much the film would cost to shoot at its lowest but still good production value level, not including your name talent and not including your call it name director if you're hiring somebody who's got a decent price tag attached to them. The second thing is, you're saying, should you put together a package before pitching investors? I guess you need to define what package means. To me, packaging means attaching talent. So that's a really kind of good thing to bring up when you're talking about going from micro budget into the next level. I'd say if you're going from $150,000 film up to $1 million film plus, things start to change a little bit. So instead of just dealing with single investors at that point when you're pitching a film and expecting them to bring all of the money, when you get up to the $1 million plus range, you kind of don't need to do that any longer because you can be in a situation where, especially genre dependent, you can start to pre-sell your films. You can obviously be filming in tax incentivized locations, and having those pre-sales And the tax incentives, it allows you to bring on different types of investors. So no longer just exclusively working with equity investors who are going to be your first people in, but now you're going to be working with senior debt individuals or companies. And here at SNR, we love doing those types of things. I know Jordan, that's kind of the bread and butter, is working on projects that are looking for those last money in senior positions. The difference, in case you don't know, the major difference is that those equity positions are going to get paid out after all of those senior positions are paid out, plus their return. But the advantage to the equity positions is that they're going to have participation in the revenue for the life of the film. So to break it down, if I've got a screenplay that I'm working on, and let's say it's $1 million budget, I'm really going to want to have at least $300,000 in reserve in that budget for my name talent. I'm going to want to pre-sell the film for anywhere from $300,000, and right now in the current market, I might want to really try and pre-sell the film for, $400,000, $450,000 for North American rights only. So you really need to have a decent amount of cash just for your name talent. So utilizing, as long as you still have a good relationship with those first equity investors, sorry, a lot of mosquitoes here. As long as you still have a good relationship with them, you're still going to want to have them come first in, but they're not going to be responsible for providing the entire budget. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to use their money to make the offers or back the offers to your name talent. So once you have a solid budget that you can rely on, and you go and you make offers to actor X, if they accept, you use these equity investors' money to secure that actor to your, at this point, it's really just a screenplay. You might have a director, and you should have like a line producer, a UPM that's already kind of attached. But at that point, you're using the money just to bring on the name actor or actors. Once you have that, that's really the package. So if you're in a genre that's like action or thriller, these are really pretty clutch, or sci-fi, even horror, you can pre-sell these with a solid name actor on board. So let's say, again, you've got these investors that are used to providing you with, let's say, $150,000 per picture. Well, maybe you get them to up their game a little bit. You get them up to $250,000 or $300,000. You use that money exclusively for your actor attachments. Once you have those actor attachments, then you can pre-sell the film. You can also set it up so that you're filming in a tax incentivized location, and you can use those pre-sales and the conservative projected tax incentives to then attract either a senior lender like us or some other company, or you might be able to attract another private equity investor to take on that role. And again, if you've got that $300,000 in equity, and then you need to raise another $700,000, let's say, in senior debt, that $700,000 plus its return, which could be anywhere from 10 to 25%, I would say max, then they get paid out first, and then after that is when your equity guys start to get paid back on their principal and their return. But just again to reiterate, the difference is once those senior guys are paid out, they're done with the picture. Your equity guys, provided your film is generating revenue for a while, they're going to be able to participate in that revenue for the life of the film. As for if you are working on genres that are not as easy to pre-sell, so like the go-to here would be a drama. A drama is very difficult to pre-sell. You can, let's just face facts. You could have an action film with Bruce Willis or somebody, and the movie could be mediocre, but it still is going to generate revenue. People like seeing Bruce Willis in an action movie, and so that's why we keep seeing him in action movies. And some of them are fantastic, and some of them aren't as fantastic. But if you put that same actor into a drama, it's a little bit harder. With a drama, you really need to have a good product at the end of the day. So you're going to have a little bit more of a difficult time trying to pre-sell it. I wouldn't even advise pre-selling it. But again, if you get that name actor on board, you no longer are just working with a screenplay and a hope and a dream. Now you're able to hopefully go to other private equity investors who are willing to take a little bit of risk, but not as much risk as coming into an equity position. Because now you've got this beautiful screenplay, and you've got these known actors attached, and you're going to have investors a hell of a lot more interested in working on your project. So that's it. I hope that helps. I'm going to get back to Hawaii, living. This has only been 10 minutes long, so I think we're doing all right. Cheers, everybody. Keep the questions coming. And as always, if you need anything, you just let us know. snrfilms.com. You can also email us at info@snrfilms.com. Hope everybody's good. Aloha.